Hey up, Sofa Squad. We are live and welcome back to Black Sofa and another edition of Common Mike. And this time we're going to be talking about one of our favorite movies of all time, uh, Coen Brothers classic, The Big Lebowski.
We are indeed.
So I think what are your memories of the film, Tom?
My first, I have a very specific memory. I think you were very enthusiastic that it was out. I can't remember if it was on terrestrial TV. I think we might have had Sky by that point. But I remember you were enthusiastic. I remember it was like on a weeknight, and we watched it. And I remember thinking, the first time I watched it, I was pretty tired. I was thinking, yeah, it's all right. And then I rewatched it. I think a week later, and then I loved it. So it took a while to sort of like sink in with me, and then the second time I watched it, I loved it, and then I think I watched it probably I reckon I've watched it about 30 odd times now, probably more.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Robert X says there's some kind of echo on my mic. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Okay.
I should perhaps is the whirring of my laptop fan audible?
Yes, it is.
Sorry about that.
No,
I'll have to invest in a proper mic at some point.
Yeah. But it is what it is. We'll just have to soldier on.
Yeah.
It was an instant hit with me. I was glued, I was glued to the screen, and I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I still to this day I see something new every time I watch it.
Yeah, me too. I watched it yesterday, and there's a couple of things I noticed. I think there's three things I noticed, three little details that I didn't notice I noticed for the first time yesterday, and I've seen the film tens of times, So yeah, it's just the whole film is crammed full of stuff, isn't it? Little details and little jokes and little visual sort of gags, and it's just I don't know, it's amazing, really. I suppose when you write, because they write and direct.
Yeah.
When they're writing, they must have the scene, each shot in their mind, so they, so it just flows really naturally with the script, and they can just cram it full of all stuff they want, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe for people watching at home, who perhaps haven't seen the film, maybe we should give a brief synopsis.
Okay. You want me to start?
Go ahead.
The plot is quite complicated, but it starts off quite simply. The film begins with we're introduced to a bloke who's living in Los Angeles. The film is set in 1991, specifically 1991, because it's during the first Gulf War, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the first Gulf War, or just as it's starting or something. And anyway, that's not entirely relevant. So it's nothing to do with the plot. But he mentions it. He does mention it. And then but his name's Jeffrey Lebowski, but
yeah,
he likes to be called the Dude, so he's known as the Dude.
Yeah.
And the first we see him, he's standing in a supermarket with wearing only a dressing gown, and where in his dressing gown. So we get that tells us what kind of person he is. He's a lazy he's a sort of hippie throwback, isn't he?
Yeah.
So we get a good sense of what kind of character he is. And then anyway, the film, the sort of inciting incident, he's in his house and two heavies come in. They just kick the door down, or kick the door in. They walk in, and then one of them grabs him and says, "Where's the money, Lebowski?" And he keeps dunking it in the toilet. And he says, and then they realise they've got the wrong Jeffrey Lebowski, because the Jeffrey Lebowski they're after is a millionaire, and he's living in, quite a dingy house or whatever. And the inciting incident is that, but one of the heavies urinates on the dude's rug.
Yeah.
And he then, after chatting to his bowling buddies, we'll get all into the details in a bit, but he decides to seek compensation for his soiled rug from the other Jeffrey Lebowski, who's an old sort of, we're to assume he's an old millionaire and living in a big house, And so he thought, yeah, he's a millionaire, so I can go there. I can ask for compensation, and I can buy a new rug. That's the start of the film, isn't it? That's what kicks it all off.
Yeah.
And then we'll call him the Big Lebowski, because that's what it's about. The Big Lebowski is the millionaire Lebowski, isn't it? Well, that's what. And then he's the dude. So the Big Lebowski's trophy wife, who's very young, Bunny, gets kidnapped, and there's a demand for money, and the Big Lebowski gets into contact with the dude and says, "Can you be the bag man?" He gets his butler to sort it all out, and he has to, make the handoff for the money to get Bunny back, and then it all goes wrong, basically. and he finds himself he's wanted by everyone, isn't it? Everyone's ends up after the dude for money or whatever. And and that's basically the plot, isn't it? And he gets lots of people pissed off at him.
Yeah.
And, and lots of stuff happens. Yeah, so that's the basic synopsis. But I want to talk about the opening scene, because it's a really good example. I think the Coen brothers are masters of exposition. There is a narrator, which helps. That some might say that's a bit of a shortcut, but there's so much, even in that opening scene. There's so much that tells us a lot about the dude. Just visually, this in such a short space of time.
Yeah.
We see him. He's standing in the middle of a supermarket in his dressing gown, so that tells us something. And then he buys some milk, and we find out later he's always drinking this cocktail called a White Russian, which you need a bit of milk for, don't you?
Yeah.
And, this is the one. Yeah, this occurred to me for the first time yesterday. I didn't really think about it before, but he's obviously buying milk presumably for White Russians, isn't it? I think we actually see that. Yeah, and I didn't really, obviously, first time you're watching it, you have no idea, about all the White Russians he drinks. So so it wouldn't have done
it. Straight from the carton.
Yeah, exactly. And you see him. He pays for it with a check for 69 cents. So he's not well off. We can say he's basically just he's a hippie. He's a hippie. He's an unemployed hippie. And and there's one more thing I noticed. It didn't really register before. Maybe I just didn't hear what the bloke was saying. When one of the heavies that has burst into his apartment or his house or whatever, before he urinates on the dude's rug, he says this. He says, "Ever thus to deadbeats, Lebowski."
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess I just thought I'd heard, "Oh, this is what happens to deadbeats, Lebowski," or something like that. But like, ever thus to deadbeats is like ever thus to tyrants, isn't it? It's what the Latin of that, it was said by John Wilkes Booth after he shot Lincoln, sic semper tyrannis, ever thus to tyrants, and I think and I think that but it comes from I think it's the play of Julius Caesar rather than historical fact, but in the play Julius Caesar, by Shakespeare, that's what Brutus says after he stabs Julius Caesar, sic semper tyrannis. So it's a sort of it's a reference there. That is a great line. Ever thus the deadbeats Lebowski. It's superb. And it's interesting that one action. If his name's Wu, isn't it?
Yeah.
The heavy that urinates on his rug, and if he hadn't done that, none of it would have happened. You know, well, it wouldn't have happened to the dude anyway. None of the events would have happened to the dude at all, would it?
No.
He would. None of it would have happened. So yeah, that's like a absolutely pivotal action. But at the time, it seems like almost
Well,
inconsequential.
the catalyst for everything else.
Oh, sorry.
It was the catalyst for everything that happened in the film, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just it's even in the first. Yeah, the first. I don't know how many minutes. I think the first 5 minutes we see the opening, credit sequence. There's a Bob Marley song that's quite good. The Man in Me is a good. The soundtrack's great as well. We'll talk about that later. And in that first 5 minutes, we get a sense that he's a hippie. We hear a lot of exposition from the narrator about how he's the perfect man for his time and place and all this, and he's very lazy and all this. And then we find out, like, we see what his house looks like. We see the inciting incident with the urination on the rug, and we also find this is another theme of the film. He's quite a wisecracking bloke, isn't he? The dude. When the other he's dunking his head down the toilet, and he's like, "Where's the fucking money, Lebowski?" He says, "Oh, it must be down there somewhere. Let me take another look."
Yeah, exactly.
He's full of little wisecracks like that for the whole film. So I think even after the first 5 minutes, you like the guy, don't you? You like the dude, and you're sort of you're rooting for him. Yeah. So that's like that's the opening scene. That's what basically it's about. But it's a very complicated plot. There's lots of well, in the words of the dude, there's lots of ins, there's lots of outs, there's lots of interested parties.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of strands in the old Deuce's head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it gets the Coen brothers are just they really create an interest. There's always something that every single scene in the film has a purpose, and it's not always. I think the first time I watched it, I didn't get some of the scenes. Was like, what the hell's going on here? But it all makes sense. It's all explained. It's either foreshadowed or it's explained afterwards. So I think it definitely warrants several viewings. I think it's certainly not a disposable film. It's got a lot of depth to it, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So after the inciting incident. Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about he's a bowl. Yeah, the bowling. Yeah, there's loads of details in this film. He's part of a bowling team.
Yeah.
And it's him, this guy called Donnie, played by Steve Buscemi, who we don't. He's got he's got a bit of dialogue here and there, but he's kind of sort of a very peripheral character. He's always being told to shut up by the other the other guy.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie. Yeah, Walter Sobchak, who's played by John Goodman, who's superb in this film.
Yes,
he's excellent in this film, and he explains what happens to his rug, and it's Walter actually, isn't it? It's Walter who comes up with the idea that he should seek compensation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You go and see the Big Lebowski, and get compensation for your rug. And then I think one of my favorite scenes happens after that when he goes to see the Big Lebowski, asking for compensation, and then the Big Lebowski just turns on him and he says, "Was he say you're just looking for a handout like every other? Are you employed even?" And he's like, and he says, "The bums will always lose, Lebowski." Yeah. And he just refuses compensation.
Yeah, and he said, "You don't go out looking for work dressed like that, do you?" Is it what day is this?
Yeah. But one of the funniest bits, he walks out of the office, and the Big Lebowski is shouting after him, "The bums will always lose. You hear me, Lebowski?" And then he's walking down the corridor, and then the butler Brandt is walking up, towards him. He's like, "How was your meeting, Mr. Lebowski?" And then the dude says, "Okay, the old man told me to take any rug in the house." and that lie works. And then in the next scene, we see a rolled up rug on Brandt's shoulder, and he's carrying it for him out there. Yeah, and that's when we meet Bunny, isn't it? Young trophy wife. And it turns out she's been in porn films and stuff like that as well. So it's not really it doesn't seem like she's genuinely in love with this old grizzled guy. Oh yeah, the Big Lebowski's in a wheel. We should mention the Big Lebowski is sort of like an old guy in a wheelchair, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of the plot is very hard to sort of describe in general, isn't it? Because there's so many little twists and turns. But yeah, I think that what kicks off most of the stuff is he then is contacted by Brandt, Lebowski's butler, and he says, "Oh, we need to talk to you." And he's like, "Please don't. If you're avoiding it, because you hear a message on his answer phone." Yeah, that's a great scene as well. Because you hear lots of answer phone messages that are the result of stuff we've just seen, which is very clever. And he says, "I hope you're not avoiding this call because of the rug, which I assure you is no problem." And then he acts as a sort of bag man, like he has to drive to a certain place and give the money over to get Bunny back. That's the idea.
Yeah.
And then Walter comes along, and he has a suitcase full of his undies, and his idea is we don't throw them the one that Brandt gave you with the money in. We'll throw a ringer out, and we'll keep the money. And because the dude has said to Walter that he suspects that Bunny has actually kidnapped herself, so it's just a way to get money because she owes money all over town, kind of thing. So she's just pretending to be kidnapped. So so the Big Lebowski pays up, and then she gets more money. That's what the dude thinks, and but he isn't sure. But Walter comes on and acts as if he's 100% certain, and then they mess it up. They end up throwing the ringer out of the car. Then you see the kidnappers drive off a motorbike, and the dude's been given a phone by the Big Lebowski. And it rings and rings and rings. For the next 2 scenes, it just keeps ringing. It's obviously Brandt or Lebowski trying to get hold of him, and he's completely messed up the handoff. And then, oh god, then they come out because they mess up the handoff, and then after you see the kidnappers ride away on their motorbikes, you hear that Walter says, "Oh fuck it, dude, let's go bowling."
Walter is the kind of friend you don't really want to have, do you? He's psychotic, and he's really unpredictable.
Yeah,
you never know where you are with him.
Yeah, I think he's sort of like he's definitely because he's a Vietnam vet, isn't he? So he's suffering some kind of he can't let go of the Vietnam War. He mentions it almost all the time. Yeah, and he's volatile and unpredictable as well. And when they come out from the bowling alley after that, the dude's car, which contained the suitcase with the money, has been stolen. So that's it. The whole thing's completely fucked up. And and then that's what kicks it all off. And that's what kicks off all the things. He gets contacted by. I'm trying to think of who contacts him. Yes, I think it's the Big Lebowski's daughter, and she thinks that Bunny kidnapped herself as well.
Yeah,
and that's it, because she sends heavies round, and they knock out the dude and steal the rug that he sort of stole off Lebowski.
Yeah,
because it's got sentimental value for her, and then then she wants to come and see her, and then she wants him to come see her, and then she says, "Oh, I think Bunny's kidnapped herself as well," and so there's that, and then there's and then Bunny also has a large debt with a pornographer called Jackie Treehorn.
That's right.
And he wants his money from Bunny as well. So like, and he's trying to, he thinks the Big Lebowski's got the money that so he thinks the dude has the money that the Big Lebowski gave to him, and he sort of stole. So like everyone's after him. Oh yeah, and I haven't even mentioned the nihilists as well. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's very hard to talk about this film in general because there's so many details which matter quite a lot.
Yeah.
The nihilists. The nihilists are there's three German blokes who they used to be in a band, which is kind of like Kraftwerk, isn't it? It's meant to be like the band called Autobahn, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
anyway,
right. Yeah,
but that's a detail we find out later. Basically, they actually we know that she's friends with one of them because she starred in a porn film with him, and we see him lying on a lilo. Yeah, log jamming. That's it. And that's a good. And yeah, so and we see him. He's like lying on a lilo in the Big Lebowski's pool at the start.
Yeah.
So we know they're friends, and he's saying, "Oh, yeah." He's saying, they're pretending to be the kidnappers, which sort of when you're watching, you think, yeah, it must be she kidnapped herself because the supposed kidnappers are, they know her. You don't kidnap someone because they know who you are.
Yeah.
But they're threatening to that they break in. I'm trying to think. The Lebowski's, the dude's house gets broken into.
Yeah.
Several times during the film. And yeah, they break in and they've got like a ferret, or no, it's a marmot. I think I don't think we have marmots in this country, but it's kind of like a ferret, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the three German nihilists sort of break and they smash up the place with a cricket bat. They throw this marmot into the bath where the dude is chilling out, and they threaten to castrate him as well. So he's got Jackie Treehorn after him. He's got the nihilist after him. The Big Lebowski's annoyed at him. Well, to put it mildly, because he thinks he's stolen the money, and the daughter sort of wants him to recover some money. Get the money back because she thinks it's all a scam. So there's loads of people, sort of after him, he's just under siege from all these characters, and then and then there's lots of developments later on where the threads, things are not as they seem, which we find out a bit later. So I guess spoiler alert if you're watching this, probably watch the film. But we find out that it's hilarious. I'm trying to avoid speaking in detail, like just talking constantly about the whole film. But it's really hard not to mention every little scene because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Otherwise, but yeah, the cops find his car and the briefcase is missing.
Yeah.
But I think there's another person following him as well, isn't it? There's some mysterious. There's this mysterious Volkswagen that's following him around.
Yeah.
And when he's being followed this bloke, and he sort of loses. He drops a joint in his lap or something, and then he loses control of his car.
Yeah.
And then he finds a sort of bit of marked homework, and that's when he gets to lead that there's a kid called Larry Sellers that they go and try and intimidate because they think that he's nicked the car and nicked the money, but it turns out he hasn't.
Yeah.
Or they're not sure he hasn't, but they can't. He stonewalls them, and they don't get the information from him. But what exactly? I'm trying to think. What resolves it? I think he just figures it out on his own because. Oh yes, that's the key. Well, another key sort of plot point is Lebowski is grabbed and thrown into the back of this car the dude. So I keep calling him Lebowski for some reason. He's the dude. So that's what you call him, the dude. He gets thrown into the back of a car where the Big Lebowski and Brandt are there angrily staring at him and saying, "Where's the money? What have you done with it?" and all this. and then they show him an envelope that they received, and it's a toe that's been cut off.
Yes.
So
Yes.
at that point, you're thinking, and it's got the same nail polish as we see her applying to her toes in in that scene when he gets the rug from the Big Lebowski. So
Yeah.
at that point, you're watching it and you're thinking, oh, maybe she was kidnapped. You know, the kidnappers are serious. They sent a toe to the Big Lebowski, and they're
Yeah.
they're threatening, if we don't get the money, we're going to kill her. You know.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I can get you a toe, dude.
yeah. Oh yeah, because he says to Walter, yeah. He goes, oh yeah, yeah. That wasn't her toe, dude. He goes, what about the nail polish? Yeah, like it's impossible to apply nail polish to someone else's toe, and then he's like, where the fuck are they going to get another toe? And it turns out Walter was right. He was completely right about everything.
Yeah.
We find out later that it's the nihilists. One of the nihilist girlfriends volunteered to have her own toe cut off to make it look like a real kidnapping.
Yeah.
And there's a good bit. We find out the truth because we see Bunny in a car, just speeding in her Ferrari, whatever it is, and then the camera pans down onto her feet, and her toe is very much intact. So we know that it wasn't her toe. We find out it wasn't her toe, like I guess towards the end of the film, don't we? And then, but then the Big Lebowski's daughter, who the dude ends up sleeping with, she says to the dude, "Oh, that he doesn't really have any money of his own. It's all the foundation's money.
That's right. Yeah.
All the money's from his wife, his ex-wife, her mother." And that's when the dude sort of pieces it together. When he received the ransom note, the Big Lebowski was glad. He was hoping that they would kill her. So the briefcase that he gives to the dude is a ringer, and it's got like two yellow pages in it or something like that. And so Walter chucks out a ringer for a ringer. So there is no money. But because the car was stolen and they lost the briefcase, that's why the dude and Walter never find out that it was a ringer, because it was stolen anyway. So presumably Larry Sellers and his mates that stole the dude's car, they must have opened up the briefcase, saw it was like got two telephone directories in it, and then just threw it away. But we only find out to the end, and it turns out he used it as an excuse to make $1 million disappear, the Big Lebowski. So it was all a scam from the start. But because of the fact that his car got nicked, they think that they lost $1 million of money. And so that's the plot. But where do we start about why? Let me ask you, why is this film good, and why is this film unique, do you think?
I think it's unique because it's original. It's not based on a book or a remake of another film, and it's totally unique, and it's well written, well directed, very well acted, and because the Coen brothers are very good at spinning a yarn, at storytelling, and that is an art, I think, that has been largely lost in Hollywood. They can, but they've definitely got it. They've definitely got the art of weaving a story.
Absolutely.
It keeps you hooked.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really we talked about exposition. There's loads of things that they show you instead of telling you. There's a lot of dialogue, and that moves things on, but the things that stick out are the visual, what we see on the camera, on the scene that's there. And we remember them. You know, we remember the toe. That sticks in the mind, and it's an important plot point. We remember that it's all a big show with the Big Lebowski, as it turns out. And then, because when the dude goes around the Big Lebowski's house, and Brandt is showing him all of Lebowski's achievements, you know, he's got the key to Pasadena, and pictures of him with Nancy Reagan, and he's got a foundation called the Little Lebowski Urban Achievers, and all this. So you can tell that and Brandt is encouraging him to sort of inspect the whole wall of his achievements, and when he sees him, he's boasting about his achievements, and you remember that. You remember all the. It's a kind of it gives you an image that only sort of makes sense later on, that he's just the whole thing is a fraud. You know, he hasn't earned any of the money he's got. He's got no business acumen. He's not a wealthy man out of his own efforts or anything like that. He's just the whole thing. He's a fraud. And when you find out the truth, you remember all the stuff he's boasting about how he achieved and all that. And and he didn't, he didn't get any of it on merit. And I think without all that exposition, if Brandt hadn't shown him the wall of achievements and all that, I think it would have stuck in our mind less than if it had just been dialogue, And I think that they crammed so much into each scene visually. It's just, and that's the thing. It can sort of overwhelm you. Like I reckon, like I said yesterday, I've seen it loads of times. Yesterday, I noticed things that I hadn't noticed before. It's almost every line of dialogue, every scene you're in, you see things. I remember one thing that I only got after watching it a few times was it's foreshadowed and then it pays off. Near the start, you see the dude's landlord says, "Oh, I'm doing my dance cycle next week in this theatre. I'd love it if you came and gave me notes," kind of thing.
Yes.
And then at one point, I think it's he meets I think after he finds the homework in his car, the dude and Donnie are sitting in this theatre, and there's this weird sort of performance artist performance going on. And when I first watched it, I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I just thought, they probably thought it was a cool place for them to meet and talk about how he knows where Larry Sellers lives and let's go around his house. But of course, that's the dance cycle that his landlord was talking about, and that's his landlord. That didn't the first time I watched it. I think the first few times I watched it, that didn't really register with me. And I was like, well, that's weird. Why are they in a theatre kind of thing? Because there's so much going on in the film. You're trying to think about the plot and everything. You don't notice this, but it all makes sense. It's nothing's put in there. I think the Coen brothers are very stylish. They do have a certain style, but that style is never a substitute for the substance. It's style and substance instead of style over substance, which characterizes a lot of modern films.
Yeah.
So I think you hear this said a lot. Good films, and it's true. It's rich. It's a really rich film. It looks good, doesn't it? It's a really visually satisfying film as well, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, go on.
And you understand the motivations of the characters as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is important.
Yeah, you get. I think, and the characters are really well defined as well. I mean, Walter's just brilliantly written. And the thing is, because the dude's a big character as well. You've got two big characters, but they're polar opposites. One's a Vietnam vet, and he's mates with an unemployed sort of hippie.
Yeah,
they seem to sort of get all right. But yeah, the way there's the chemistry between Jeff Bridges. I haven't even said Jeff Bridges plays the dude, obviously. The chemistry between him and John Good. Is it John Goodman, isn't it?
Yeah, John Goodman. Yeah,
that's Walter. Yeah, that's really good. So they create really good characters. The Big Lebowski is a good character. Brandt, I think Philip Seymour Hoffman as Brandt is really good as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And like even there's and there's little peripheral characters if Jesus.
Yes. We haven't even talked about Jesus yet.
He's basically they're in a bowling tournament, aren't they? And in one of the opening scenes, or in the one of the first few scenes when they're in the bowling alley, they're in a league game against another team, another 3-man team, and Walter because one of his opponents he thinks had his foot over the line when he took his ball. And then he says, mark it 0. He's like, no, I'm marking it 8. I got a strike. My foot wasn't over. And then Walter pulls a gun out. And then you see Jesus is who they're facing in the next round. And it was Jesus and his teammate Liam, who never talks. And he's a very sort of flamboyant, very strange bloke. And he sort of threatens him, you better not pull your piece out of the lane, so I'll take it away from you, stick it up your ass, and pull the trigger till it goes click.
Jesus. That's right, dude. Never fuck with the Jesus.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't think the current, it's strange. They make even peripheral characters interesting, and different. And Donnie's quite an interesting one, although he's a peripheral character. He's like this nice sort of like guy who he's just cowed into almost silence. He's sort of like ignored by the other two most of the time. But it's a great characterization. And there's another. They've got a real knack of they foreshadow something, and then you see the results of it later on.
Yeah.
An example is they talk about how Larry Sellers, he lives near the In-N-Out Burger. So he said, we'll get the money, then we'll go to the In-N-Out Burger and have a few burgers and all that. And then after they failed to get the money from Larry, the next scene you see them, they're in the car and they're all eating In-N-Out burgers in the car. So you don't actually see the thing, but you see when they mention it, you see the effects of it afterwards. But you don't you see that in a lot of Coen Brothers films, where there's something has happened, or something that was mentioned earlier, and you see the consequences of it, just visually, but it's not spoken about. And they're really good at sort of foreshadowing stuff, and then it sort of pays off later on.
Yeah, exactly.
And we haven't even talked. The dialogue in this film is brilliant as well.
Yeah,
I think it's almost up there with Now and I for quotable quotes, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry. What were you going to ask?
I was just going to say, what are some of your favorite lines from the Big Lebowski?
Oh, there's loads. I mean, they've almost become sort of memes now and cliches.
Yeah.
He's like when he said when Jesus sort of walks past them in the bowling alley, he says, Liam and me, we're gonna fuck you up. And he said, and the dude says, yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man. You see that on T-shirts nowadays, don't you?
Yeah.
And there's so many. I love that piece of dialogue. They completely fucked up the handoff.
Yeah.
And then Donnie said, "Oh, how did it all go?" And Walter says, "Yeah, it went okay. The dude's car got a little dinked." And then the dude goes, "Walter, we didn't make the fucking handoff, man. They didn't get the fucking money."
Yeah.
And it's like that. And another thing, the Coen Brothers, I think they've done this in a few films, but this is there's really lots of examples where one person says something, and then another character says the exact same thing, in a different context. There's loads of them. There's when after he's pulled his gun out on the lanes, they're in the car park, and the dude says, I'll just take it easy, man. And then Walter's like, that's your answer to everything, dude. And then later on, we hear the Big Lebowski says the exact same thing to the dude.
Yeah.
Fuck it, that's your answer to everything. there's quite a few there's quite a few examples of that. Like at the start, where's the fucking money, Lebowski? And at the end, the dude says that to the Big Lebowski. Where's the fucking money, Lebowski?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I never noticed that before. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
there's
right.
loads. And I think we see in the opening scene when he's buying the milk, you see George H.W. Bush.
That's right. Yeah.
I think he's obviously talking about Saddam Hussein, saying, "This aggression will not stand."
Yeah.
This aggression against Kuwait, and then the dude says that to the Big Lebowski. So when he's talking about how those heavies urinated on his rug, and he's like, "This aggression will not stand, man." Yeah, so you see it sort of repeated. Like the same bits of dialogue repeated, sometimes by the same characters, but often like with different characters saying the same thing. And it's just so dense, isn't it? There's so many there's so many things that you don't know. I reckon I must have got 25% of the gags and visual things and all that the first time I watched it. At the most.
Yeah, and I think Maud, when he's talking to the dude, when Maud is talking to the dude about Bunny, she says, "Oh, she's a gold digger in the parlance of our times." And then later on, the dude says that to the Big Lebowski. Yeah, in the parlance of our times.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, young trophy wife in the parlance of our time.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, and you see him again. There's so many themes and like little things like you see him almost everywhere he goes. He makes himself a White Russian, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like you see him, he makes him White Russian in his apartment. Then when he goes, he doesn't have one in the Big Lebowski's house, which is odd. But he's not entirely welcome there the first time he goes. He makes himself one at Maud's house. He makes himself one at Jackie Treehorn's house.
Yeah.
Does he make? Yeah, I think he makes himself one of somewhere else. So he's always got a beverage. Like he's always got a White Russian in his hand.
Yeah.
It made me want to drink White Russian. I think I bought some Kahlua and some vodka and all that.
Yeah.
After watching it a few times because I wanted to see. And it is quite nice actually.
Yeah, after watching it, I went through a phase of drinking White Russians.
It's not the kind of thing. It's not the kind of drink that you can drink an awful lot of. Although the dude seems to have no problem with it, but after about 3 or 4, you don't really want to drink anymore. It's still a lovely character.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite scenes is, well, I think it's the dude is saying, was it Walter? He said, well, what is it that that Lenin said? No, what was it that Lenin said? And Donnie says, "I am the walrus."
Yeah. Because he thinks that he said Lennon, doesn't he? Yeah, as in John Lennon. Yeah, so it's like what Lenin said. He's like, "I'm the walrus," I know. And then he's like, "Shut the fuck up, Dan." V.I. Lenin, Vladimir Ilyinich Ulyanov. So what the fuck is he talking about? There's another good bit. That's a good scene. There's bits where Donnie is asking questions because he's sort of like getting involved in a conversation between the dude and Walter, but he doesn't really understand what's going on.
Yeah,
and he thinks he takes it to mean something else. There's a bit where he said when the dude is explaining to Walter, the deal about him, making the handoff to the kidnappers. And he says, "Oh yeah, they gave the dude a beeper, so they can contact me anytime." And Walter says, "Well, what happens if it's during a league game?" He's like, "Oh, I said if it's during league play, then no." And then Donnie goes, "What's during league play?" And then Walter's answering, Walter's commenting on what the dude's saying. He says, "Life does not stop and start at your convenience, you miserable piece of shit." I think when I watched that bit, I reckon Donnie thinks he's talking to him.
Yeah.
But he's talking about the Big Lebowski, but he's like, "What's wrong with Walter, dude?" I think he thinks that Walter was talking to him when he said. So there's loads of crosswise. You see you see a lot of broken sentences as well. That people just trail off. You see a lot of that in Fargo and a lot of other Coen Brothers films where a lot of broken up sentences and unfinished sentences and all that. But apparently they're not ad lib. They're just written as is, and they're designed to be like that. A lot of the dialogue.
Yeah. And there's another great scene when they're in the cafe, and the dude he's fretting about the nihilists to threaten him with castration. And he said, I don't want the money. I just want my Johnson." And well, why do you want that, dude?
What do you need that for, dude?
So,
it's there's I mean the dialogue, we could talk about it all day. There's I think there's I'm trying to think, the nihilists are quite funny. I'm just trying to think who uses the word Johnson first. Because Maud says it as well, doesn't she? And then so like there's sort of like one person uses a phrase and then someone else uses it later on in the film.
Yeah.
Like because the nihilists say, "Will cut off your Johnson if you don't come up with the money."
Yeah.
And also there's another really good scene. I think this is my favourite bit of dialogue. When he goes around Jackie Treehorn's, and Jackie Treehorn asks about where the money is, and he drugs his White Russians. He's I think it's with acid or something, isn't it? Because he's just hallucinating. And then he gets picked up by the police, and the police chief is hilarious as well.
Yeah.
He says, "I don't like your jerk off name. I don't like your jerk off face. I don't like your jerk off behavior. And I don't like you, jerk off."
Jackie Treehorn, tree subject like women, man.
Yeah, and even that's like true because he probably got it the wrong way around, but maybe because he's still out of it on the acid, so he meant to say treats women like objects.
Yeah.
But treats objects like women is actually true because he's talking about how when he's in the fact Jackie Treehorn saying about the wave of the future is sort of 100% electric interactive pornography or something like that, isn't it? So that would be treating objects like women in a way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Exactly.
hilarious.
Yeah, and then the chief of the chief of police, or whatever, the police officer, he says, "Jackie Treehorn draws a lot of water in this neighborhood. You don't draw shit, Lebowski."
There's another good because he goes on Jackie Treehorn's, and Jackie Treehorn has a phone call, and he picks up the phone. You see him scribbling something down on this pad. Then and he runs out the room, and then the Big Lebowski. He's like a film noir kind of scene. When Jackie Treehorn, he says, "Oh, excuse me, I've got to go out for a sec," and then he gets up and he runs up to the pad. And he does that thing. He tries to sort of trace it, like scribble some pencil on it to see what was written on it before. And it's just it's just a picture of like a sort of caricature of a naked man with a big penis, a big erect penis. And then when Jackie Chan comes back, he sort of takes it off quickly and he sort of folds it up, and then puts it in his pocket. And then when the police chief is looking for his wallet, he just finds that picture. And he's like, well, just little details like that, which are, it's just a hoot. And I think, it's got so much layers. And and I think I said sort of about films like The Burbs as well and things like that. The comedy flows naturally from the situations created by the plot.
Yeah,
it's not just, there's no set pieces, are there? There's no, every single scene is to further the plot. I can't think of a scene which is irrelevant, really.
No, exactly.
Apparently, this is like a sort of homage to sort of film noir films. Apparently,
okay.
But I don't. If I have seen a film noir, I wasn't aware of it. I think I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what they. I'm not sure exactly what they are, film noirs. But I don't know. I think I've the big. I've never. Have you seen The Big Sleep?
No, I haven't actually.
I think it's what's his name? Bogart.
Humphrey Bogart.
I think he's in. Let's have a look. So I think that's meant to be a film noir. I'll just have a look. But yeah, apparently it's based on those kind of. It's like a what do you call it? Homage to those kind of films, or inspired by them.
Okay.
Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind watching some film noir. Because I get the impression it's like, it's a lot of things like private detectives and dark doings and things like murders and stuff like that. There's no murders in the Big Lebowski, obviously, but it sort of seems like there could be, Bunny going missing and all that. But I think that's the kind of thing what film noirs are all about. But I don't know. I mean, let's look at the definition of film noir. Really. One second. A style or genre of cinematic film marked by a mood of pessimism, fatalism, and menace.
Okay.
I mean, he is. He's. I mean, at one point in the film, things can be worse for him, could they?
No, exactly. Yeah.
He's got heavies after him, people breaking into his house, people threatening. You fit the kidnappers, Jackie Treehorn's goons. Yeah, he's being accused of stealing $1 million quid. His car's been stolen. Things can get worse for him. Yeah. So I guess it's like that with like a comic tinge throughout the whole film. But I suppose we should talk about the ending. When poor old Donnie, because they have a confrontation with the nihilists.
Yeah.
And then Donnie has a heart attack and dies.
And this is foreshadowed as well.
Oh,
because throughout the whole film, we see Donnie consistently getting strikes every time, and then he doesn't. He misses one.
Yeah,
and that's a foreshadow that something bad is about to happen.
Yeah. Donnie, he sort of strikes out at the end, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's quite sad at the end. Poor old Donnie died. And when they're scattering his ashes, a lot of it goes off because of the wind. They're trying to scatter them off some cliff by the sea, but it gets blown back and it goes all over the dude's face.
But before that, they're trying to get an urn.
Yeah.
For him at the funeral parlor.
Yeah.
And he gives them the bill, and Walter says, "What's this?" Well, this is the This is the price for our. This is our most modestly priced receptacle.
Yeah. And it's
And
yeah, sorry, go on.
so in the end, they get a box of these biscuits. What was it? Well, biscuits or
I think, yeah,
something.
something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, it's like
they,
a tin, isn't it?
yeah, so they finish. They obviously eat the biscuits, and they they carry Donny's ashes away in this empty biscuit tin.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like a little sad bit, and then you see them back in the bowling alley,
yeah,
and then we see the narrator. We hear him at the beginning. We see him talk to the dude at the bar,
mm,
and then we see him at the end
yeah,
talking to the dude, and all that, yeah. That's all. Yeah, that sort of wraps it all up.
yeah.
I can't remember the name of that actor. But he's a good actor. That bloke. I was looking up the narrator. I think his name's Sam something. Oh, I can't remember. I'll just look it up quickly. Yeah, because you hear his voice. Yeah, over the film as well, don't you? You know,
Yeah.
little intervals and all that. And he he talks. It's funny because he says, yeah, I don't know about you. I was sorry to see Donnie go.
Yeah.
But and he said it was a funny film. Made me laugh, in parts anyway.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott, of course. Yeah, Sam Elliott. He's a really good actor. I like Sam Elliott. There's quite a lot of big names in this film, isn't there? Who we got? Yeah, Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Julianne Moore. Julianne Moore obviously plays Maud Lebowski, the daughter.
Yeah.
Steve Buscemi is Donnie. Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman as Brant, the Lebowski's butler. Bunny Lebowski is played by Tara Reid from American Pie, and isn't she in the new those Sharknado films as well? I think
Yeah.
those crazy films. Yeah, Peter Stormare plays Nihilist number one. Who Peter Stormare is also in Fargo, and he's really good in that.
Yeah.
He plays the Steve Buscemi's partner in crime, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is. Yeah, there's
Sam Elliott.
Yeah, he's superb. Yeah. I like it when he's talking to him, sort of halfway through the film, and he says, "I like your style, dude.
Yes.
But do you have to use so many cuss words?" And he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Have it your way.
Okay, dude, have it your way. Yeah, it's a nice little touch. It's got a nice. There's a nice sort of at the end. There's a nice sort of vibe at the end. You know, it's a
Yeah.
yeah. I just want to talk about the soundtrack. The soundtrack is superb. I remember I bought the soundtrack.
Really?
Yeah, on CD ages ago.
Okay.
There's a couple of Creedence Clearwater Revival songs which aren't on. Maybe nowadays, maybe there's a new one you can buy which has them, but the one I bought didn't have any of the Creedence on it. I guess because they're a big band and it would cost too much. Maybe they didn't give their permission for it to be on the soundtrack or something. But yeah, there's lots of good songs on that soundtrack. There's the one right at the end is what's it called? I can't remember, but I think it's a cover of a Rolling Stones song, which surprised me. But it's a good song. But yeah, there's we haven't talked. The bloke who does the music for most Coen Brothers films is a bloke called Carter Burwell, who is superb. Like he does great music for films. There's one called this is made specifically for this film called "We Believe in Nothing," which is you hear the three German nihilists who used to. I think it's sort of like meant to be, if in the context of the film, it's one of the songs, or one of the tracks made by the band that the Three Nihilists used to be in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to listen to that quite. Or We Believe in Nothing. It's quite good, It's all right. Obviously, Carter Burwell did that, and there's I can't remember. Oh yeah, obviously, there's a good Bob Marley song, "The Man in Me." That's a really good song. Oh, and
of course, the Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles. Yeah, that wasn't on the soundtrack either. Actually, the Eagles.
Right.
And there's a brilliant. I mean, there's a scene after the dude gets spiked with acid by Jackie Treehorn.
Yeah.
There's a sort of dream sequence, but it's that's quite funny in itself, and really well shot. And but the sort of soundtrack to the dream sequence is a song by Kenny Rogers and this band whose name escapes me. I just dropped in to see what condition my condition was in, which is a superb.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
It's a great song. And when we first see Jesus, the bowler, played by he's played by John Turturro, who's brilliant.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's I think it's a Gypsy Kings version of Hotel California, which is an Eagles song. I just realised that.
Yeah.
We should mention the reason why we're laughing about the Eagles is there's an Eagles song playing when the dude's in the back. He's had a really bad day. He's in the back of the cab, and the cabbie's playing the Eagles on the stereo. And he said, "Can you change the channel?" And he's like, "Fuck you! You don't like my music? Get your own fucking cab." He's like, "Oh, come on, man! I've had a rough night, and I hate the fucking Eagles." And then he kicked him out of the cab.
Yeah.
I didn't. That's the first time I've made that connection. The Eagles and the Hotel California cover version that introduces Jesus. You see what kind of he's a bit of a creep, isn't he, Jesus? Because you see him, he licks his bowling ball before he bowls.
and he's a pederast.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Walter says after oh no, they're seeing him bow. It's like, oh man, because his name's Jesus Quintana, isn't it? We find it.
Yeah.
And the dude says, "Oh, fucking Quintana, that creep can roll, dude." He said, "Yeah." And then, he said that creep can roll. And then Walter says, "Yeah, but he's a pervert." And then the dude's like, "Yeah." He's like, "No, he's a sex offender with a record. He did some time up in Pino for exposing himself to an 8-year-old."
Yeah.
So there's the soundtrack's superb, and there's lots of weird, really strange music in there as well.
Yeah.
But it's it just works in terms of the visuals. I mean, we haven't even talked about the dream sequences when he's just flying. He gets whacked, doesn't he? I think is it by one of Maud's goons that she sends around there to get the rug, and they punch him, and he's just sort of floating over Los Angeles, and you hear Bob Dylan's song again. And the dream sequence with the acid trip is just very. He's in a sort of bowling alley, sort of dream-like bowling alley, and the guy who hands him his bowling shoes has got a name tag on his thing saying Saddam, and it's Saddam Hussein.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see Maud all dressed up in a kind of Viking helmet and get up. It looks like anyway. But you have to see it really, don't you? You can't really describe it. It's but overall, it's just it's a surreal, funny, witty, brilliant, very layered. I mean, it's sort of. It's not like you can watch it again and enjoy it. You feel compelled to watch it again, don't you? And it sort of demands repeat viewings because you find more and more things funny. You get more and more of the visual gags and the little details that you miss the first time around, or even the second, third, fourth time around. And it's because I hadn't seen it in quite a while because I've watched it so many times, but when I watched it last night, I enjoyed it all the more. I enjoyed it all over again. yeah, it's a thoroughly enjoyable film, and I think that's what got me onto Coen Brothers films. That's the first Coen Brothers film I watched, and then I just went, watched them all like Fargo and Blood Simple. But yeah, it's just a superb film.
Yeah, definitely.
Only 82 on Rotten Tomatoes, which means it's fresh, but I would have thought it'd been a bit higher than that.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's the Big the Big Lebowski was in the middle of the Coen Brothers had a real hot streak. They just kept great film after great film after great film. I think the first, maybe I'm a bit harsh on it. There's a couple of films that I'm not a huge fan of. One of them is they were actually, to be honest, Intolerable Cruelty is all right, actually. But the remake of The Lady Killers, I didn't think much of that.
Mm.
But yeah, apart from those two, I think in that whole period from their first film, Blood Simple, all the way to Beyond the Big Lebowski, they were superb. They just kept churning out so many great films. And you see this, there's a kind of witty, wry kind of humor in almost all of their films. Even the ones that are a bit more serious, there's still a bit of humor, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Maybe we should talk about the Coen Brothers films, as a general topic at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I should probably say my favourite film, probably of all time, is Miller's Crossing, which is a Coen Brothers film.
Yeah. I think I've seen it once, but I can't remember any of it.
Oh, it's superb.
I'll have to watch it again somehow.
Yeah, they like the same. They use the same actors quite a lot. Like John Turturro, he crops up in quite a few of Coen Brothers films. So does Steve Buscemi.
John Goodman.
John Goodman. Yeah, John Goodman's in quite a few, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think I might be right in thinking. I think the next film the Coen Brothers made after The Big Lebowski was Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which I love as well.
Yeah.
Let's look at Joel Coen.
Mm.
I'm just going to look up Joel. I think they basically could write and direct. Although I'll just see in what order everything was. Let's see director. There's so many.
Yeah.
When you look at their work, it's just there's so many really good hits.
Mm.
It was Big Lebowski in '98, then Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, which I love, and then The Man Who Wasn't There, which I love as well. Oh wow, it's really weird to think actually. That's another thing about The Big Lebowski. It stood the test of time pretty well. I think it does itself a favor by saying, "Oh, this was back in '91, during the Iraq War kind of thing." So it doesn't have, because it's deliberately sort of set in a specific time, and it doesn't feel dated at all. I think it's brilliant, and but it doesn't. It's almost ahead of its time. It doesn't seem like a '90s film, does it? Really?
No.
It's yeah. I mean, this. I was just looking at it. It surprised me. This is 2 years after Fargo.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
I don't know why I find that surprising. I thought there's only two years separate Fargo and then The Big Lebowski. I mean, when you look, I love all these. But I think Raising Arizona, everyone loves that. That's probably one of my least favorite ones. It's a good film, Raising Arizona, but it just hasn't got the it hasn't got the appeal of the others, in my opinion. But Blood Simple's their first film. That's brilliant. Then it's Raising Arizona, Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink is brilliant, Hudsucker Proxy is brilliant. Yeah, so they had a really hot streak.
Yeah.
Then they did Intolerable Cruelty, then The Lady Killers, and then No Country for Old Men, which I really liked. Burn After Reading was all right. That was a bit, yeah. I like A Serious Man, although I'm not in love with it. I like their remake of True Grit. Inside Llewyn Davis, meh. And Hail Caesar was good. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs is like a series of short stories, and it's pretty good. Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, they're probably arguably my favourite filmmakers.
Yeah. Anyway, we've been chatting now for about 1 hour and 10 minutes. So I think it's now as good a time as any to wrap things up.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for watching, and let us know in the comments down below. Your favorite parts of the Big Lebowski, your favorite lines and favorite scenes from the Big Lebowski. And if you've liked this video, then give us a thumbs up, and if you're new, do subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss another video. Okay, bye for now.